Welcome to our podcast.
I'm Sinclair Christie.
I'm Jayla Ferguson.
And I'm Shamili Tarafter.
This podcast is about identity. Today we're going to talk about gender differences. So let's get started.
So let's start off with the gender part. You might be wondering about people who have struggles being transgender, gender fluid, or LGBTQ+. A few days ago, we read an article called A Doll for Everyone, Meet Madel's Gender Neutral Doll by Diane Tsai. Jayla, can you elaborate on that?
Yes, I can, Shamili. So the article is basically about this new gender-neutral doll that can be a boy, a girl, or both. But the concept is that most dolls show their gender by what they wear and how they do their hair. My experience with dolls is that if I walk into a toy section, I see the Barbies, and they are pink and have a lot of makeup.
For years, millennial parents have pushed back against pink aisles and blue aisles in favor of gender-neutral sections, often in the name of exposing girls to building blocks and chemistry kits that foster interests in science and math but are usually categorized as boys' toys. Major toy sellers has listened thanks to the millennial generation's unrivaled size, trend-setting ability, and buying power. Target eliminated gender-specific sections in 2015. The same year, Disney banished boys and girls labels from its children's costumes, inviting girls to dress as Captain America and boys as Belle. Last year, Mattel did away with boys and girls toy divisions in favor of a non-gendered sections, dolls or cars, for instance, quoted from the article.
So now we are going to interview with one of the teachers at the Wake School who experienced being transgender in the 21st century.
So, what do you think the world needs to do to support your gender identity or this gender identity?
As a trans man or just trans people in general?
Just trans people in general.
Trans people in general, sure. I think one thing the world could do is just accept our existence. That would be nice. And stop trying to make it seem like this is something new, right? There have been trans people in the world forever. And so, it's something new and something that needs to be stamped out is kind of silly because it's been around for so long. There have always been trans people. So, in just accepting that we exist, I feel like that could then lead us to a place of understanding and acceptance for everybody. I mean, really the issue is not being able to be accepted, because that goes into all the facets of our life, right? That's with healthcare, with education, with employment, right? And so all of those things, if you're not accepted in those things, then it makes it really hard to live a full and healthy life.
I see, yeah. So how has being trans affected your life?
Well, there's good and bad, like with anything. But the good for me was that I came out in my late 20s. It was really hard to do because society makes it scary.
Yeah.
And, I was worried about having to change my name and tell all my friends that they got to pick or use a different name and different pronouns and all that stuff. So the idea of it is scary. After I did it, I was really happy, much more confident person, just I got a breath of fresh air. So for me though, I have passing privilege, which means you don't know I'm trans unless you knew me before, or if I tell you, right? And so it makes it easier for me to navigate through the world. I have gotten some privileges as a male, right, in our society. I for sure have noticed the differences from before when I used to identify as female. So that's nice. It's also a little bit more dangerous because I have more than one identity going on, right? I'm a trans man, I'm a black man, right? It's put me in a different category as far as the things that are dangerous for me with police interactions or the way that people view me. They're afraid of me a lot of the time if they don't know me. So I think overall though, it's been good things. There's definitely been difficulties but Minnesota's a really good state, healthcare wise. I do have friends in other states that have a really hard time getting their testosterone, or they make you go see all these doctors and psychologists and psychiatrists and all of these things. So, but for me overall, it's been good. But I do know that I'm very lucky. It's not the experience for everybody.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's like a weight being lifted off your shoulders when you tell other people.
Huge.
So what advice would you give to young teens who go through gender identity struggles?
Well, one, it's good to have some allies. So Trying to seek out people who accept you for who you are is always helpful because you need a lot of support. It's hard to do by yourself, and not everyone's family is accepting. So anywhere that you can find allies, I would say that would be one of the big things. And then two, just know who you are. You know what I mean? No one can tell you who you are better than you. So know that, be confident in that, and just take the steps that you need to make sure that you're good, right? As opposed to, like, for me, it took me a long time because I was worried about what everyone else would feel, right? How my mom would feel, how my daughter would, right? And so when I took a step back and I'm like, well, what's best for me, right? That's when things really became clear. So thinking about that and knowing that at the end of the day, it'll be okay. It's just a tough time, maybe like in the beginning, but overall, if, living and being your true self is always going to be the better option.
I see. Okay. Thank you for doing this
Yeah, no
interview.
problem.
Yeah. So that was Mr. Alexander's part on gender identity. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you have a good time.
Thank you. Bye.